Yo, what's up? Welcome into the opening line, part of the Elite Fantasy Sports Network, coming to you live on a Monday, Patriots Day up in Boston, as me and Benny just found out. Getting back from the weekend, make sure you subscribe right here on the Guru Elite YouTube channel so we are in your inbox each and every day. Benny, my man, how was the weekend?
It was pretty good. I actually was down the shore for a couple days. I had to, we had to go look at some houses and get some stuff done there because the house that we had under contract kind of fell through. So we're looking for another one now. So it is what it is.
Oh, gotta make sure you had that summer home ready. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's it. We're trying to get it before July 4th rolls around, so we can spend some weekends down there and have some fun with the kids.
That'd be good. I'll come down there, save a base, save me. Put me.
20 minutes to Atlantic City, bro. 20 minutes to Atlantic City. I know what I'm doing.
Not a bad idea right there. Big weekend, a lot of stuff to get to today, obviously. But we got to start with what took place down there at Augusta National yesterday. Tiger Woods on the comeback trail wins the Masters. I tell you what, Benny, I'm not like the biggest Tiger Woods fan, but I was very happy to see him take down the Masters yesterday. Obviously, the long road back for Tiger Woods. This is the guy who's had 3 back surgeries in the last 5 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself when you're cheating on your wife and she swings a golf club. You got to make sure that you drive straight on the path and not into the wall. I mean, that'll do it to you. But no, I mean, in all honesty, Tiger Woods winning is good for golf, right? Because, even the fringe fan yesterday was tuning into the Masters and, watching to see history be made with Tiger and him making his comeback and all that. So even if I'm another golfer right now, I'm happy that Tiger won yesterday because the more Tiger wins, the more random fans start coming and watching golf. And the more random fans start watching it, more money in sponsorships, more money for these tournaments. You're going to have more eyes on you and stuff like that. So, even the guys who lost yesterday in the PGA, they actually really won. I mean, as much as you hate to say it, sometimes a polarizing figure, a guy like a Tiger Woods, when Tiger's good, golf is good. When Tiger goes away, most people can't name more than 5 golfers.
Yeah, I think I can. But we got our boy Bryson DeChambeau.
He was my man on Monday, and then he screwed me. So.
Nah, you know what? You're right. I think everything you said is like it's basically top back economics that actually works. So you know what I'm saying as far as the PGA Tour is concerned. Good to see Tiger Woods get out there on that platform. Him and his family afterwards. It was just it was cool. It was refreshing. It was a good part of sports, something that we don't see in sports a lot. You know what I mean? That great classic comeback story. The narrative was like, okay, this is the greatest comeback story in sports history. And I'm like, listen, I hate to be a prisoner to the moment, but didn't Muhammad Ali, after Muhammad Ali went to Canada and was exiled and all of that stuff and went to jail for not going to the Vietnam War, didn't he come back and win the championship and win the heavyweight championship?
I mean, there's a lot of comeback stories that I put ahead of this, to be perfectly honest with you. Like you said, it's a nice clickbait title to say this is the greatest comeback story in sports history, but I don't know if I'd go that far. I mean, again, I'm happy for Tiger Woods, right? Like, but when Tiger's good, golf is good, and that's good for everybody all around. It's nice to see a guy who was a champion get back to that level because I mean he struggled over the last couple of years. Like you said,
and be times when he was on the course and he couldn't walk. He could barely walk.
Yeah, I mean, between all the surgeries and him just like, trying to get back into the swing of it after, having to take so much time off to heal his body and everything, it is great to see him come back and win. So, I mean, I'm not knocking the fact that it is a good comeback story, but, again, we're
prisoner of the moment.
Yeah, we're prone to hyperbole here in this day and age. So greatest comeback story. Everything's the greatest comeback story ever. Next month we'll be talking about something else that happens in some sport. That's the greatest comeback story ever. Like it's stuff like that just gets thrown around too much.
Greatest comeback story ever will be, what if Colin Kaepernick was to take his team to the Super Bowl? Now that would be a comeback story. But then again, everybody wouldn't like that comeback story. They'd be like, that's not a good comeback story.
That'll trigger half the country at least. That might lead to the next Civil War, Corey. It might actually be the reason.
Who gave him a shot? Why didn't the NFL conspire to have his team? You know what I'm saying?
He's going to have to play for the 49ers or the Giants because they're going to have to send him to a sanctuary city right now. Like, that's the only way. They're not going to let him go. He can't play in the South.
No, I mean, and you remember what Mara said? Mara said that it was the biggest. He never had gotten more letters from the New York Giant fan base. when they were looking for a backup to Eli Manning, the letters that poured into the office were like, don't.
Because the rest of the fan base watched Eli Manning play. So they were like, dude, how does this guy not have a job and you're paying him $23 million?
No, but actually the fan base was like, no shot. The New York Giants,
really?
They did not want any parts of him, nothing to do with him.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I don't really believe much of what Mara says anyway, so let's take that with a grain of salt.
I agree with you 100% on that one, Benny. I don't believe much of what he says either. I think he has some of his personal things that he is tied into it. In the NFL, whatever the case may be, the whole thing. I mean, the man did beat them. They proved that the owners were colluding against him. But back to Tiger. One of the things, though, Benny, that's like so whack about today's day and age and what we do in sports and stuff like that, especially guys in a position like me and you and everybody else over here that's like, in the sports media world. Oh, well, everything on Twitter yesterday was, you said he would never win again. Don't you feel so stupid? Oh, and you said he would never win again. And you said he would never win again. And you said he would never win again. I'm like, the job of people in this spot is to give opinions, not to give opinions and then have you come around 2 or 3 weeks later and say, oh, you see how wrong you were? Like, I understand we get stuff wrong from time to time, but the way people, like I know Skip, Stephen A., Shannon Sharp, some of the big talents, Mike Francesa even, everybody was coming to these dudes like, you said he would never win again. And I'm like, who thought he was?
No offense, but I mean, if you said that 4 or 5 years ago, really, were you that wrong? Like, for 4 or 5 years, the guy looked like he couldn't play golf anymore. Like, he had forgotten how to do it for the most part.
He was missing cuts, Benny.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, his body – and I shouldn't say he forgot how to do it. It's more his body was letting him down, right? Which, we talk about it all the time. Father Time is the only guy who's undefeated. I mean, sooner or later, everybody falls off and you're not going to be able to play at the same level. We see it in literally every sport. Golf is probably the one sport where your longevity can kind of last a little bit more because, you can see some big fat guys playing golf. You can break down and be an old man and still be able to hit the golf ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same point in time, I mean, Tiger Woods, Tiger used to go into tournaments and he was like straight chalk, which you never see in the PGA. Like, you never see a guy like minus 250 to win a tournament. Like, that's how good Tiger Woods used to be, is that he used to get those kind of odds on him where people just knew everybody was going to bet on him. And if Vegas was going to pay out any decent money, they would have got killed. I would be interested to see how bad the books got beat up with Tiger winning this week.
Books got beat up yesterday. You saw was one guy won $1 million yesterday.
There's a lot of even like the books in Jersey, like both FanDuel and DraftKings at one point during the Masters were offering an odds boost on Tiger Woods to win. And because it's Tiger, a lot of people took that. And Tiger was probably the most bet on player going into the tournament anyway. And like I said, when he used to win at minus 200 or minus 150, minus 180, you're betting 100 to win $50, $30, something like that. He was like plus 300, plus 700, plus 800 at various points this week. I'm telling you, I want to see I bet you the books took a bath on the Masters this week.
Yeah, no, I had read some stories from David Parham and a couple of other cats where the books got beat up pretty bad. Obviously, Tiger, a big chalky favorite, getting those kind of odds, and then people just continuing to double down as he got hot. I woke up yesterday morning. I turned the joint on, but it was kind of just on as I was laying in the bed. By the time I finally got up and got myself going, I went and I looked at what the live number was. It was minus 2,000, and I was like, this is getting ready to happen. You know what I'm saying? So
well, again, I mean, part of the reason it was minus 2,000 too, for people who understand the betting markets, like the live number, what the books are trying to do is kind of hedge themselves. So like if they had too much money on something, pre-flop before the game started or before the Masters started, they use that in-game stuff to kind of hedge off some of that and bring some money in there. Because basically the books don't really care who wins. If the books really just want to have the same amount of money bet on one side as on the other, that they can collect their rake and go on to the next, event to offer odds on. So really, they don't really care who, whether it's Tiger or whether it's somebody else. They care when it's Tiger, when Tiger has all the money on him, and they're trying to hedge some of that stuff off. So that's why he went down to minus 2,000, because I don't think they could afford to take any more liability on after what they did the first couple of days with him.
Yeah, you're 100% correct on that, Benny. The liability was too much. And what I will say is this. Listen, the books got beat up. The books took a beating. I'm not crying over the books, though, because the book, they'll get it back. Trust me. They may have gotten it back last night.
Yeah, those casinos ain't going out of business, and there's a reason they're as big as they are.
No doubt about it. So there you go right there. Another thing that I saw with this whole Tiger Woods thing, and how this situation broke down, some of the commentary immediately goes right back to, oh, well, why are we celebrating a guy who was banging hookers and cheating on his wife and yada, 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 yada. You know what? Cut the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we just celebrate in the greatness of an athlete for one day before you start bringing up negative stuff? One of the most posted pictures I saw yesterday was Tiger Woods' mugshot.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, so he's banging hookers and all that. What does that mean? That his next job is president? I mean, why is that such a bad thing right there? No, but I mean, you're right. I mean, listen, we talk about it all the time, right? Like, there are guys that are wife beaters or, whatever else they've done in their careers. I'm not going to let them watch my kids, but, if they're good athletes and they can help my team win and they're on my team, I'm going to root for them. You may not like Tiger Woods, the person. You may have a problem with, the way he handled that whole situation. But, it's very easy to say for somebody who's, living a normal life. But you go and give somebody, what's he worth? $500 million? And that's probably a conservative estimate with the Nike and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You give somebody $500 million. I mean, how many other times do we see this? You have – a lot of cheating comes down to opportunity, right? If you have women throwing themselves at you all day long, it's a lot harder for you not to cheat than it is a guy like me who pretty much sits in my house all day and then goes and picks up my kids from school and then comes home and makes dinner for my wife. I'm not hanging out on yachts in Ibiza with supermodels or anything like that. So, you can't really knock them for it either.
On the weekends, Ben. Now let me stop.
Maybe an LBI, but definitely not with supermodels. But yeah, I mean, but you know what I'm saying is, the guy, again, I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying that the guy is there, but there's a lot of other people that if they were in his shoes would have probably fallen victim to the same trap.
Tiger's thing was Tiger, obviously being a Nike athlete, would go on these trips with Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley. And you know how Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley get down. So there's a lot of Las Vegas. There's a lot of private rooms. There's a lot of topless entertainers. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley at the time were single. Tiger Woods wasn't. So trying to keep up with the homies, got himself in a little bit of trouble. But by the same token, it is what it is. Like, we're past that now. Yesterday had nothing to do with that situation. Yesterday had to do with him coming back from these major back injuries and all of these other surgeries he's had over the years, trying to get his body back together. And that's what makes the story great. Not coming back from being an adulterer, which is none of my business because I'm not married to Tiger Woods.
You know what I thought was cool too yesterday is that he had his kids there at the end. So his kids got to see him, in the way that, like, we view Tiger Woods one way. His kids were like,
they don't know that.
Yeah, his kids were babies when he was at, like, his apex, like they had never seen, the way that the place kind of just goes nuts whenever Tiger does something special like that. So to have your kids be able to see something like that, that must be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, no doubt about it. People compared to, when he won at 21, the hug he had with his father, to winning at 43, the hug he had with his son. And yeah, his son looks like he's going to be a golfer. He kind of had that same stroll as Tiger. Yeah, obviously, you know what I mean? And you can tell that his son was really proud and took it real serious. That was the first person that Tiger embraced. So shout out to him for that. A couple weeks ago, Benny, we was talking about Zion and his shoe contract. Mm-hmm. What he would do and stuff like that and what a monumental deal it would be. And we talked about how Nike has a domination over the industry, especially when it comes to these big-time superstar athletes. And you see Nike's power yesterday. No soon as the Masters ended, the first commercial was a Nike commercial featuring Tiger Woods. And I'm like, that's the power of Nike. That's what Nike does for your brand.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? And it goes hand in hand. Like, the one thing Nike's always done well is they go and they get the best of the best. Like, they don't want the – like, you're the third best player in the world. All right, that's great, but we're going to go get the best player in the world. Put it this way, man. If you remember golf before Tiger, like 20 years ago, nobody was buying Nike golf balls. Nobody was buying Nike golf shirts or, Nike golf spikes or Nike golf clubs. Tiger Woods is the reason why people started doing that. I mean, you used to go get, like, you had, like, Callaway and Big Bertha. Like, those were the names that were, around there as, like, the big golf clubs in the day. And then all of a sudden Nike comes on the scene with these crappy golf clubs that they were making, but people were buying them anyway because of Tiger Woods. Like, that's the marketing power of not only Nike, but also Tiger Woods. And that's what Nike does is they get the guys who's the household name and they just build brands around them and sell you everything. I mean, that's why Nike is such a successful company.
Didn't make one dime this weekend, whether it be DFS, whether it be betting on the golf. How'd you do, Benny?
So I made a little bit, not a lot. One of the like I said, one of the things that both of the sites had was like a huge boost on Tiger Woods. Sunday morning, I got Tiger Woods at plus 1,000 for, I think $50 was the max they let me put in there.
Nice.
But basically, that's a 10-to-1 payout. So, I mean, that $50 wound up paying $500 on DraftKings because he was the, the boost of the day was Tiger Woods plus 1,000 when really the true odds on him were like plus 350. So I looked up at the leaderboard. I was like, Tiger Woods isn't tied for second. He's 2 strokes behind, and I'm getting, basically 3 times better odds than I should be getting on him with the bump from 350 to 1,000. I tried to put $100 on it right away, and they were like, "No, the max you can put on is 50."
Yeah,
so I was like,
it wasn't let you like that.
Yeah, I mean, as a free $500 in my pocket, I'm not complaining.
No doubt about it. You know what I'm saying? I wish I'd have saw that, but I don't have the DraftKings app. The DraftKings app, you cannot look at it if you're in the city. So on FanDuel, if you're in New York, I can log on. I can do everything but place a bet. But I can see all the numbers. Yeah. I can see everything. I can see what the totals are, what my wins will be and stuff like that. The DraftKings app, once it realizes you're in New York, it locks you out. You can't even look at it. So that's one of the reasons why I don't have the DraftKings account over on, for sports betting. I'm rocking with the FanDuel one. But I'm also looking at, PointsBet has the cage out there now with the Meadowlands. So probably if I get a chance to go out there this week, I'll probably put something down in the PointsBet account because, they're doing a lot of good stuff too. With some
do they really? I didn't know that. So you can go cash out there at the Meadowlands now.
Yeah. But not only that, I don't know, PointsBet has a MasterCard that comes along with it when you sign up with it. But PointsBet, you have they send you a MasterCard.
Was it like a debit?
Your winnings go on that card as soon as you win. So if you're out and you win that $500, when the match is over, that $500 is legit in your pocket.
And it's like an ATM, like you roll the ATM machine and just pull it out.
Everything, yeah,
Yo, that's dangerous. I gotta look into that, but that's gonna be dangerous.
I know, right? And I hate to sound like I'm capping for them, and they haven't even given me $1 on an affiliate code. But listen, when somebody has a good product, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good right there.
No, that's honestly a great idea because, like you said, you're gonna be out at the bar. Basically, I can see it already. Tommy's going to be at the bar. He's going to hit some crazy bet. He's going to go take the money out. He's just going to throw it around and be like, drinks on me. So,
what's wild about it is I think they were I was with Tommy for a little bit on Saturday, and I think he was talking about signing up for PointsBet also because, Tommy likes to hedge and he likes to do the live betting. Yeah. And a lot of times what they're doing is because they catch those bigger bettors, they'll take a line down and leave a line down for 30, 40 minutes. And they'll pop it back up when it's like, I just missed $5,000 because you didn't have that line up. So they, and I saw last week where PointsBet was honoring bets up to $10,000 no matter who you were. A lot of cats, they don't even let bet live no more, especially if you're going in there and beating them up. But I'm not betting at that level yet. But the cats they are locking those dudes out. You know what I'm saying?
Now, who is PointsBet or FanDuel?
FanDuel.
Yeah, it doesn't shock me, to be honest with you, because they come, and you know what? They got to be careful with that because I don't know if the New Jersey Gaming Commission is going to allow them to start doing that stuff. Like if you're gonna be the provider, I mean, this is the same thing like we talked about when they decided they didn't want to pay out that quote unquote erroneous line that somebody should have known. Like this is the stuff that happens in offshore sports books, right? Like you start winning, you start beating them up. They're not gonna allow you to bet with them anymore. When you go legal, though, everything's different, man. You can't just start locking people out and not letting people bet unless you can prove that they're doing something criminal. Like, you can't just say, no, you're too good at this. We're not going to let you bet anymore. That's not the way this works. So the stuff that Paddy Power is able to get away with overseas and in, the European books in England and stuff, I'm not sure they're going to be able to get away with that stuff because you can't do that stuff in Vegas. Like you could cap bettors at, whatever the cap is.
Bettors in Vegas. It's only a couple of cats. I know my man, the Philly Godfather. I don't think they let him bet at all. But most people are capped out in Vegas. But to just take lines down, you know what I'm saying, is interesting. So listen, we'll see how that goes into the regulated space. That's going to be something that people are going to look into. Speaking of seeing Tommy on Saturday. We want to move on and start talk some NBA playoffs. And we had a good weekend NBA playoffs this weekend. We had some changes. We had some changes and some series prices, Benny. Yep. And I will let you know that plus 380 you got on the Nets on Friday, that is now plus 150. The Nets are teetering on becoming the favorite in this series. And you know what? I got to be honest. I took a bath on the Nets. But I took a bath betting the 76ers in the first half of that game to the point where I had to get on the Nets in the second half. And I'm just like, everything that we say about Philadelphia is like comes to fruition. Mm-hmm. Ben Simmons nowhere to be found. Jimmy Butler stepping up. Joel Embiid kind of aloof. Nothing on the bench. They play terrible defensively. And the Nets, you know what? The Nets are going to make this a series.
So here's the thing that I like the most about that Nets plus 380 that you got, right? Like you basically mentioned now it's down to 150. But now what you can do is you can kind of hedge some of these games throughout. Like, I'm going to probably bet on the Sixers today. I didn't look at the line yet. I actually got to write up the basketball article after we get off here. But now you have –
only got 2 games later. That's not bad.
Yeah, you have something in your back pocket now when you know that you're sitting on a plus 380 bet, right? Because if the Nets win the series, I'm going to win $380 on that $100 bet I threw down on them. Mm-hmm. So now I can kind of like play with that when we get there. Like if it gets into a game, later on in the series, I can start betting some money on the Sixers to kind of hedge against that, knowing that, well, even if I lose $100 on a game 5 or game 6 with the Sixers, I'm going to win 380 if the Nets win. So if the Nets win, I'm already going to be plus money right now anyway. And now I'm just kind of making sure that I, can cover the amount of money I put in case it works out the other way. So that's why you really take those series bets. You take them so that down the road you can kind of hedge things off depending on how the series works out. We said it, though. I mean, I won a bunch of money on that game, too, because I didn't think – again, I wasn't sure the Nets were going to win, but I definitely didn't think the Sixers were going to cover the 8 points. So, that's the way it worked out. We talked about this the other day, too, like with Embiid. Embiid's not 100% right now, and the Sixers are a much different team when he's not on the floor. I mean, I know they got Boban for a couple minutes, and they got some other guys they can throw out there, but it's not even remotely close to the same team. I mean, you take the best player off of any of these teams in the playoffs right now, and they're going to have trouble winning and moving on to the next round. So I'd be very, very worried if I was a 76ers fan right here. I don't know if this series is going to work out well for them. And again, at full strength, the Nets and the Sixers was 2-2 during the regular season anyway.
No doubt. And the Nets came out. I got to give a shout out to D'Angelo Russell. Listen, I've never been the biggest D'Angelo Russell fan. That kid is swagalicious. I'm talking about the game he played on Saturday was excellent. That Nets team, they came out, they're ready to run. And I'm looking at them like this game is going to come back to Brooklyn this week. This is going to be a chippy series. It's going to be a lot of pushing and shoving and trash talking. We might see a couple technicals go down in this series. So I think this is going to be one of the better. Listen, we said it would be one of the better series coming into it, Benny. You know what I'm saying, into that first round. But I want to hop back right quick to tonight's game. Have you seen tonight's line yet?
I haven't seen the line, but I'll tell you what, whatever the line is, I think it's a little suspect because Joel Embiid is legitimately questionable. Like, it's not just like, oh, we got a Q tag on him because whatever. Like, he's legitimately questionable. And then on the other side, Ed Davis and Jared Dudley are questionable. And I know everybody's like, who gives a shit? Who gives a – they played 54 minutes, I think, combined between the two of them in the first game. And Ed Davis was awesome. He had a big double-double in that game. So
he really was. I'm surprised. I thought Ed Davis was out the league.
I mean, I knew he was there, but, like, his biggest problem is they never give him minutes. Like, he produces well, but he usually plays, like, 20 minutes a game. He gets close to double-doubles in it. Like, the guy can still play. He actually played much better than Jared Allen defending Joel Embiid for the minutes that Embiid was in there. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out because, I mean, if you're taking basically big guys on both teams that are off there, it's going to open up a lot of value for other guys that are there, and it's going to make Jimmy Butler a star again because if there's no Embiid, like you said, Simmons looked like he was a deer in headlights in that game. Tobias Harris shot like crap, although I expect him to play better. But if Philly's going to win, it's going to be on the back of Jimmy Butler.
All right, so let's get into some of the shenanigans. Like you said, Simmons disappears, Embiid rattled, Russell swagalicious, Jimmy Butler doing what Jimmy Butler do, putting the team on his back by himself. And then you have cell phone gate. And I'm like, damn, son. Listen. It's not, I understand he said he was checking. His daughter was severely ill and was checking being a parent and stuff like that. But my thing about it is this. This is the NBA playoffs, bro. Your phone should not be on the court. Your phone should be back in the locker room area. That's where the telephone should be at.
Or I mean, again, I don't know how serious this whole thing with his daughter is, but obviously it's something that was a big deal. That's why you have those kids that sit at the end of the bench wearing the 76ers jerseys and the sweatpants that are like the ball boys or whatever. You hand them your cell phone. You say, yo, if you see a text pop up from wifey or whatever his wife's name is, read it and then come and whisper in my ear and let me know what's going on. And if it's, again, like I said, I don't know what's happening. Maybe his daughter's sick. I know there was something with his daughter, right? So let's say your daughter's sick, your daughter's in the hospital. You just have that guy sit there with your phone in his pocket. You don't have to be sitting there checking it, hiding it in your pants on the bench. Just have him there and be like, yo, every couple minutes, look down. If it says, text from wifey, hey, she's going into surgery, she's doing this, she's doing that, come whisper in my ear and let me know. Because I'm sure that in a situation like that, you tell your coaches what's going on too. If that's really the story, I'm sure your coaches know. And even in the NBA playoffs, your coaches are going to be like, yo,
it's Amir Johnson. You know what I'm saying? It's not one of the guys that they depend on to help win the game. He's a body on the bench, give him some minutes, some spot minutes from time to time and stuff like that. The thing about it is, Benny, if I missed this weekend of the NBA playoffs and you told me a team had a player pull a cell phone out on the bench, I'd have been like the 76ers.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue it with you. But again, isn't this the problem? Like, this is what we said at the beginning. The 76ers are still a young team for all intents and purposes. They're a talented young team, but they're still a young team. The guy with the most playoff experience on that team is Jimmy Butler, but followed probably by Tobias Harris. And then you got, like, all these other guys who've been there, maybe once? Actually, J.J. Redick. J.J. Redick's probably been there a whole bunch of times, too.
More than anybody.
Yeah, but, this is what we talked about, though, is, it's a difference when your superstars have been through the wars and understand what it takes to get there and know what it is. And when it's, some of the lesser – not that those guys suck, but, some of the lesser options on your team that aren't, like, really the team leader.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Simmons disappearing, Joel Embiid being banged. Joel Embiid only played 24 minutes in that game, whether it was because he was hurt and or ineffective. I mean, he did have decent numbers for a guy who only played about half a game. But, again, without Embiid, I don't –
you can see they're going to have a hard time guarding him right off the rip, and they're also going to have – and Philadelphia's going to have a hard time guarding D'Angelo Russell because they don't seem like they can get that – they don't seem like they can get that done. And I like the way this game is moving along. You get to the post game, you have the phone gate and all of that stuff, Benny. They ask Simmons about the Bulls. You be whack in Philadelphia, especially in the playoffs, especially against a team from New York. They're going to boo your ass. He was like, yo, if you booing, stay on that side. Bad thing to say about Ben Simmons. Embiid, after the game, said, I was scared to shoot because if I missed, they were going to boo me. And I'm like, you're a professional athlete, dog. What the hell is going on?
You know what? I mean, when you're making excuses for a game one loss, that's not a good sign for the rest of the series. You know what I mean? Their heads are not where their heads need to be. You just lost a game to a team you should have beat. You should have been like, hey, listen, we played like crap today. We're going to come out tomorrow. We're going to pound them. That should have been your post-game interview. That's it. Not making excuses about fans booing. You know why fans were booing? Because you guys played like shit. If you would have went out there and played well, the fans would have been cheering and this wouldn't have been a problem.
They didn't come to boo. They came to cheer.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sorry, man. You're a professional athlete. If you're not used to hearing cheers and boos by this point of your career, come on, man. Get over that stuff. Like, that's not important. You're making $100-something million. Go out there and play well. Go out there and do your thing. You should not be, I'm afraid to shoot because I'm going to get booed. Well, then you don't have the confidence to be on the floor anyway, and you're just hurting your team. So that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's getting tough out there. They're going to need Meek Mill to come ring that bell for Game 5 if they get to Game 5. But this should be an interesting series right here going down the stretch. Also on Saturday, got a change in price in this series. Got the Orlando Magic now at plus 220. 220, not a big jump. Toronto's still minus 270. But I tell you what, DJ Augustine, that Orlando Magic team, they came out there, they punched them right in the mouth, and here we go again with the one and only Kyle Lowry, a donut in the playoffs in a big spot, and it's just like, here we go again. Okay, it was one thing, Toronto, getting owned by LeBron James year after year after year, but now, I mean, the Orlando Magic and DJ Augustine, don't get me wrong, Toronto's still the better team, more likely going to win this series, but I think Orlando's here to fight, Benny.
All right, so here's my thing, right? I'm going to go twofold on this. First off, let's start with Lowry. Not only did he not do anything in the offensive end, but he was the one who got lit up by DJ Augustine.
Yep.
Make no mistake about it. DJ Augustine was the reason that the Orlando Magic won that game. He had one of the best games I've seen DJ Augustine play probably since he was in college, all right? That's how good he played in that game. Now, with that being said, DJ Augustine is not going to do that every night.
No.
Like, you're not going to get 7 games of 30 and 10 or whatever the hell he finished with for DJ Augustine. I mean, he was making big-time plays. He was making big-time plays at the end of the game. DJ Augustine is not that good. So, to me, this is one of those overreactions where people are like, oh, my God, Toronto is going to lose the series now. It's like, A, it's one game. Does it suck that they lost? Yeah, they probably should not have lost that game. But you know what? Nobody thought this was going to be a sweep anyway. Most people thought this would be a series that went 5 or 6.
Yep.
Right now, you're getting better odds on Toronto than you were getting on them before that first game happened.
Yep.
To me, Toronto's still the bet. So right now, I just feel like they're a better bet because you're giving me better odds on them.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that one. Just the game one losses. If you're a Toronto Raptor fan, you got to be thinking, here we go again. But like you said, this is probably more of an overreaction. This should also be, like you said, a 5 or 6 game series where the Raptors come out on top. They do have the better player and the better team, and the guys with more experience. Orlando's been the team's been scrappy and fighting down the stretch. But I think we'll see a difference in the talent level on these two teams as the series moves along. San Antonio and Denver, new series price in this one too. San Antonio is now the favorite at -125.
Really?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I'm still going to go with Denver. But, again, this was another one of those series we talked about where, I just don't think it was I don't think it's a great situation here for Denver. Like, Denver was very good during the regular season because they basically tried really hard because they missed the playoffs by 1 game. So they were the team that was focused all season long. But I never really thought that they were the clear number 2 team behind the Golden State Warriors. Like they had the second best record. They play really good defense. But, I said this was going to be a pretty tough series. I actually took San Antonio to cover. Didn't think they were going to win. Otherwise, I would have taken a money line and made some real money on that game.
No doubt.
But I didn't think that Denver was going to cover. I think this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series. I think all these games are going to be close. I don't think either one of these teams is, the Milwaukee Bucks where they're going to beat somebody by 40. I think it's going to be a whole bunch of games that are single digits at the end, and, it is what it is. I think Denver still moves on, so I'm interested in that a little bit, but, that's about it. That's about as far as I go. I really don't think – I'm definitely not betting on San Antonio as a favorite, even up the game.
I agree with you 100% on that one. I'm not going to take San Antonio as a favorite either. They do have the home court advantage now, and when they get back to San Antonio, they are a very good team. I think the series price I'll probably leave alone because looking at this game and watching these two teams, the best players on the court are DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge.
No, Jokic didn't have a great game there. I mean, Jokic only had like 10 points in that game, but Jokic to me is the best player on the floor overall. But I agree with you. DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge are second and third.
Okay, so 2 of the 3 best players are on San Antonio. This is what I gather looking at the Nuggets. I don't know if the Nuggets can have a deep playoff run or maybe even win this series. How good is a team when when Joseph is your best player?
Jokic? I mean, no, I'm telling you, Jokic is good. Jokic is a legit stud. The problem that they have is they don't have
him as your best player, though.
Yes, you can. Like he is that good. He is because you can run the offense through him, right? He's a really good passer.
Yeah,
he's a down low on the block. He's gonna control the boards for you. I mean, Nikola Jokic is one of the best centers in the league by far. The problem is they don't have a legit number 2, right? Like you talked about DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. You got an inside guy, you got an outside guy. The guys for the Denver Nuggets that play on the outside, like Jamal Murray, he's still kind of a young guy. He's good, he's talented, but again, he's still kind of young. I don't know if I really count on him. Gary Harris was in the same boat. That's a guy that people thought was going to really take a step forward this year, and he's kind of taking a step back. Injuries have been a big deal for it, but, the problem with Denver is they don't have that legit number 2. You got Will Barton. Paul Millsap is the guy a lot of people thought it was going to be, but he's still been banged up all year. I mean, again, this is a team that's very deep. They go 7, 8 guys where there's really no drop-off, like Mason Plumlee, very good guy coming off the bench. Guys like Monty Morris and Malik Beasley and Torrey Craig. Like, these are solid players. But the problem is outside of Jokic, they don't have another stud. And, Jokic is a guy that's a lot easier to guard because he's a big guy. You could double Jokic and make him give up the ball and make somebody else beat you, which is kind of what the Spurs did in that first game. The problem is if the players out there aren't good enough to make those shots and to make you pay, then you're just going to keep doubling Jokic and making those other guys beat you. And as they proved the last game, those other guys, unless they're hitting shots, are not really able to beat you.
Exactly. You can really see where those guys right there are definitely the playoff experience was glaring. The playoff inexperience was glaring on that first game. San Antonio goes in there and they steal the first one. Going to be interesting to see what the number is when game 2 lines come out when they get back, when they are, and still that game still be at the Pepsi Center. Then they still call it the Pepsi Center out there in Denver. OKC in Portland yesterday. Portland comes out, puts up 38 points in the first quarter. The two teams kind of played, similar the rest of the game. Portland gets the win because of the big first quarter. Dame Lillard hitting some big shots down the stretch, but this has the makings of a 6 or 7 game series, Benny. Right now, OKC is plus 115 the new series price. You got to like that.
Well, I mean, again, I took Portland at the beginning of this series because Portland to win the West was like plus 6,000. Yeah. OKC was like plus 1,000. Remember, we talked about this last week is, OKC is the lower seed and they had the better thing. I'll tell you what, there's a couple things that were concerning to me here. One is Paul George did not look good. Like,
he's not healthy, son.
No, that shoulder injury popped up. I think it even popped up like Friday, like after we did the show. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, is he really like for them to even say Paul George might not play here, he must be pretty hurt. And then after you watched him play in that game, like his shot just didn't look right.
He said in the post game, Benny, that was the first time he shot a basketball. Yesterday was the first time he shot a basketball since Wednesday.
And that's a problem.
He couldn't even lift his arms.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem because without him, there's no way they're winning the series. I mean, he was arguably first-team All-NBA, borderline, maybe even in the MVP
conversation.
Yeah, like that's how good a season he had. So you take that threat out of there. It's not like they have other shooters anyway. The other guys that they have are more slashers. And here's the other thing that really kind of got me. Like, we make fun of Enes Kanter's defense all the time, right? But I mean, he's a crappy defensive player. No one's going to argue that. But offensively, he's a legit NBA offensive center that can put up some points. I thought Steven Adams would be able to contain him more than they could. The problem for OKC was OKC tried to take advantage of Kanter by going inside the Adams. Steven Adams just doesn't have an offensive game.
No,
like, Steven Adams, he rebounds and he dunks. That's all he can do. So for them to win this series, they're going to need to get something out of them. Now, next series when they play Golden State, I'm going to play DeMarcus Cousins every one of those games because DeMarcus Cousins.
They wouldn't go Golden State. They would go to winner.
Oh, that's right, because they're the 3 now. Mm-hmm. All right, so either way, you're going to play. You're going to play Jokic in that series if they get there because you want to play centers against this team right now. The problem is you need a center that has some offensive skills, a guy like a Jokic, a guy like a DeMarcus Cousins. Because that's really the way you want to pick on this team. You want to dump it inside and pick on Enes Kanter down there. I don't think OKC can do that, though. Like, I'm looking around. I'm like, if Paul George isn't going to score, like Westbrook's going to do Westbrook things, right? But if Paul George isn't going to score, you're going to need a second guy to pick up his scoring. And I can't see who that's going to be. Like, Jeremy Grant is good at what he does. He rebounds. He plays defense. He'll finish some layups and stuff like that and maybe make a shot or two. But he's not a big-time scorer.
He's a high-energy guy.
Yeah, he's a good player to have out there, but he's not going to be able to make up for losing the scoring of Paul George.
Yeah.
And the more you look at this roster, they don't have another guy who's going to be able to make that up.
Schroeder's not going to be able to get those numbers either. Schroeder's a wild. I will say is Schroeder is a wild card in this series. The way he's an intense player. He's good defensively. He's not afraid of the playoff spotlight. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
This is going to be a long series right here. I think it's going to be one of the better series in the Western Conference in the first round. Interesting to see how this one to play out. As far as Utah and Houston goes, all the statistical analytic type guys will tell you on paper Utah is a better team than Houston. These games are not played on paper. My thing coming into this series, Benny, is Utah going to be able to score enough points to keep up with Houston? They can't.
Well, I mean, we talked about it beforehand. Yeah. Houston and the Boston Celtics were two teams that I thought people were way further down on than they should have been coming into the playoffs. So I actually have those two parlayed. It's not a great payout. It's minus 171 on it.
Utah and Boston?
No,
Houston and Boston.
Rockets. Yeah, the Rockets and the Celtics we talked about the other day. I'm still on both of those sides. I mean, exactly what I thought was going to happen in both of those games is pretty much what happened. I mean, Utah's offense, I just don't think their offense can keep up with the Rockets. Both teams are pretty good defense. When it comes down to it, though, give me Chris Paul and James Harden going one-on-one all day long against, the long stretches of missed shots and scoreless action that the Utah Jazz have shown all year.
And that's what you're going to see a lot of that. One thing I will say about Utah is maybe outside of Oracle, the Oracle and TD Bank, maybe the more intimidating atmospheres when you get in the playoffs is that Utah thing. So I'm interested to see how Houston handles that. But James Harden and this bunch shouldn't have no problem with them. And another thing that we talked about last week, the only thing that can beat the Golden State Warriors are themselves. After they destroyed the Clippers, Steve Kerr said, so that's 2 on Durant already. He's got 5 more before suspension. We played 1 game.
Yeah.
And you put the thing about it. Coming into this series, you knew Patrick Beverley was going to do stuff to try to get them off their game. Patrick Beverley want to muck the game up, make the game nasty, and create some kind of controversy because that's the only way that they can hang in this series.
Without a doubt. I mean, the Warriors need to be smarter than that. They know that they're going to try to bait you. There'll probably be some cheap shots and some hard fouls in this next game here. But really, it doesn't matter. Beating the Los Angeles Clippers and ruining their season in the first round of the playoffs is not what you worked so hard to get to this point for. So you know what? Let him talk a little trash. By next week, he'll be sitting on his couch talking trash while you guys are playing in the second round. So, like Steve Kerr said, the only thing that's going to beat them is themselves and doing stupid stuff. Now what happens if he gets another one in this series, he gets one in the next series, then he gets another one at the end of that series, and then the 7th one happens to be Game 3 of the NBA Finals.
Exactly.
Now you're sitting out a game that actually matters because you let Patrick Beverley get in your ear and get you out of your game at the end of a game that you're up by 20 points already and it doesn't matter,
Exactly. So that's something they have to guard for. Other than that, this should be an easy 1, 2, 3, 4 series for the Golden State Warriors. I wanted to ask you, I was watching the game yesterday between Portland and Oklahoma City, and I wanted to ask you this, Benny, because you have multiple children of the same sex. The Currys.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously Steph and now Seth, playing an important role on the team in the playoffs. They asked Sonia Curry about it yesterday. She was like, we were in Oklahoma. We were in Oakland. And normally what we would do is, Dell would stay and I would go with Seth. But this time I thought it was important for all of us to be with Seth because this is like his first time in a big spotlight like this. And I understand that. My thing is, what if these two teams meet in the conference finals? Then as a parent, is that tough as a parent? Or is that Steph has won MVPs, he's got 3 championships, you know what I'm saying? Are we pulling for little bro, or do you just stay away? How do you handle that if Portland and Golden State meet in the conference finals?
Well, I mean, if the game's in Golden State, then I'm going to be rooting for Steph because he's getting me my tickets. I'm going to be rooting for Steph because he's getting me my tickets. I mean, honestly, I think it's a good problem to have as a parent, right? Like, again, I'm from New Jersey. I've been around the New Jersey high school basketball scene for a long time. I remember when Duke played Seton Hall University.
Oh, yeah, the Hurleys.
Yeah, when you had Bobby against Danny in the NCAA tournament that time. You know what? I mean, it is what it is. You're there to watch both of your kids. One way or another, at the end of the game, you're going to be giving one kid a hug and saying, good job, good luck, and you're going to be giving the other one a hug and consoling him because he just lost and got knocked out of it. So, I mean, as a parent, I don't really think it matters to you which one of your kids goes on and which one of them doesn't, because one way or another, like I said, you're going to have to deal with the thrill of victory and also the agony of defeat in your same household, So
what I'm thinking is, with Steph, is it really the agony of defeat?
I mean, again, it's always
so much.
It's always the agony of defeat. Is it a bigger deal? Like if he lost, if Steph wins and goes on to the finals, is it as big a deal as if Portland makes it to the finals and Seth Curry gets there? No, probably not. It's probably a much bigger deal for Seth because he's never been there. As opposed,
guys been on 10-day contracts and played in the G League and stuff like that. Yeah.
Now here's the other thing, too. We were talking about this yesterday. Like, a lot of people don't – Seth Curry's had a very good season. Like, he's come in –
and three-point percentage this year.
Yeah, and I mean – and after, like, with C.J. McCollum going down and getting hurt, he played a big role there. He's still playing a big role now with C.J. McCollum back. Like, if this was anybody else, you'd be like, man, this guy worked his ass off. 10-day, like you said, 10-day contracts, bounced around the league. I'm happy for a guy like this to finally get his to finally get his chance and to get his opportunity. But people still look at Seth Curry as like, oh, he sucks. He's not Steph. It's like, yeah, well, nobody else in the NBA is Steph Curry either. So,
yeah.
I mean, it sucks that that's his brother, but that's a tough standard to live up to when, your brother is like an absolute superstar of the NBA. I mean, hell, there isn't another point guard in the NBA who's Steph Curry. So the fact that Seth Curry is not Steph Curry, it doesn't mean he's not a good player,
It's nothing to be ashamed of, and that kid has worked hard to get to where he's at. And you also see I think his fiance is Doc Rivers' daughter. So he's doing just fine. Yeah. So now we have the Rivers and the Curry family are going to be combined.
Their grandkid or, Doc's grandkid, that kid's going to be a baller, bro.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be the legend continues as they only get better. So that's about it. Good weekend NBA playoffs tonight, Benny. We got the 76ers laying 8, right?
Still a lot of points, man.
It's a trap game. It's a classic trap game. In my opinion, it's a trap game. Whenever people are going to load up on the Nets today and the 76ers, put it like this. I'm betting the 76ers to lay that 8 because why else would the 76ers be 8-point favorites?
To me, it's going to, again, I'm still waiting on news from Embiid.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on news from Embiid, and I'm waiting on the news from Ed Davis, too. Because, listen, Ed Davis and Jared Dudley, like I said, they played 54 combined minutes that last game. Mm-hmm. That was the combo that was out there on the floor quite a bit. And if you look at the other guys, I mean, you got, what's his name, Rodion Kurix.
Yeah.
And, Damari Carroll will probably play a little power forward extra there. And then you're going to have to get a big game out of Jared Allen. So, if those guys do happen to be out, you're going to see and read those guys being in my, in my write-up today for the NBA playoffs. But I don't think those guys are going to be able to, repeat the effort from the last game. And the other thing, too, is like the Nets shot the crap out of the ball in the first half. They had like 8 or 9 threes in the first half of that game, too.
That's one thing about the Nets, though, Brandon. The Nets can get hot from 3.
Yeah, but they can – you said it, get hot. When you can get hot, you can also have games where you go cold.
Uh-huh.
So, when you get hot, you're going to stay in games. When you go cold, you're going to lose them. So you're talking about the 8 points here. If they have one of those games today where they shoot 25% instead of 45% in the first half, well, now you're talking about instead of going into halftime with a 4 or 5 point lead, now you're going in down 10 or 12 points. And it's a whole different game when you're trailing and playing catch up than it is when you're winning and you're able to control the tempo and the pace and, kind of do things at your own speed.
What do you think about the total in this one, 226?
I still like the over. I mean, there's always going to be a lot of points. Put it this way. Philadelphia played like crap, in my opinion, in that first game, and we still got around 220, right? What was it? Like 112, 110, something like that? Like,
it was 112, 98, something like that. It was up. They're going to score. Both of these teams are going to score.
You got close to 220 with Philadelphia's offense looking like crap. So as long as Joel Embiid is playing today, I'd be willing to go with the over. If not, you really do got to consider the under because, again, if Simmons isn't going to play well and Embiid is only going to play 20-something minutes, really you're down to just Jimmy Butler scoring and maybe Tobias Harris helping out.
JJ Redick also can get hot. I like the over the way it stands right now. A lot of it will be contingent upon – it's a little bud. A lot of it will be contingent upon just have that for later. A lot of it will be contingent upon the injury status, and of course you got you covered over at EliteFantasy.com. Then you got that write-up coming in, of course, Guru Elite, where you can get your nice plays and picks, whether it be sides or totals, also for Major League Baseball and NHL hockey. The Clippers in Golden State tonight. Golden State laying 13.5, only 2 games on the schedule. Nothing to see there as far as Golden State's number. The total in this one is sitting at 230. It's almost like it's hard to bet this because Golden State's going to blow them out again.
Well, that's really what you're betting on. You're betting on this game not turning into too big of a blowout.
Yeah.
Because if it turns into too big of a blowout, Golden State's getting their 130 regardless. So what you're really wondering is, 120 regardless. What you're really wondering is, can the Clippers keep it close enough where they get the other 110 and put it to the over? Or is Golden State going to win this game by 15, 20 points and the Clippers end up with 105 and you get like a 105, 123 final where the game comes in under? It's not like Golden State really had a great offensive game that first time. Like, Steph Curry basically carried them. I mean, Steph hit 8 threes in that game. I think he finished with like 39 points. DeMarcus Cousins was in foul trouble most of the game. Kevin Durant looked like he was trying to fight Patrick Beverley for most of the game. Even before that happened, he was getting too much into the BS and the trash talking and all that stuff. Klay Thompson hit a couple shots. Draymond Green actually was the second best.
Draymond Green did play well on Saturday. He really did.
Yeah, he was the second best Warrior. I think a lot of that also had to do, like, DeMarcus Cousins fouled out of that game. Like, DeMarcus Cousins ended up with 6 fouls in that game, and his numbers looked horrible. And one of the reasons I know that is that he was like 60% owned in a lot of the and FanDuel tournaments, and he finished like, I think he had like 10 points and maybe 7 or 8 rebounds. Like, he had a really crappy game for a guy that was 60% chalk in there too.
And there you go right there. So, like I said, right now I'm leading towards the over in Philadelphia as far as the side. I want to see what happens with that. I look at Clippers and Warriors. I really don't think it's no bet. Maybe I'll hop on Golden State in the first half. You know what I'm saying? To parlay with that was something to get some odds going on that one. Really, that's about it as far as we go NBA stuff. Getting ready to hand out our big pieces of chicken for the weekend. And I say pieces because obviously you got to give one to Tiger Woods, what he did this weekend, Benny. But I also got to reserve a big piece of chicken for D'Angelo Russell and for DJ Augustine. Both of those guys really had big comeuppance over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, DJ Augustine was great. Like I said, Enes Kanter had a great game this weekend.
He really did. That's right.
I'm going to tell you what. My big piece of chicken, though, is going to go to Giannis. And Giannis did something in that game yesterday that was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. He got a steal around the top of the key.
Mm-hmm.
He took 2 steps from probably maybe 3 steps it was, from half court. It was step,
jump.
Off from a step in front of the foul line, like the Michael Jordan dunk. Like, he took off from like his foot on the foul line and dunked it in the open court. And I was like, how do you even stop that? Because if you get this man in the open court, it took him 3 steps to get from half court to a dunk. 3 steps.
It's crazy. I know the play that you're talking about, Benny. This is not a series right here. This is not going to be fair. They're going to beat them by over 20 points in every game.
Well, again, we talked about this the other day.
The Bucks don't show no mercy.
Yeah, Milwaukee's one of those teams that blows people out. Like, they'll go out there and get up 30 so that they can sit the starters in the fourth quarter. And even the guys that come in on the bench are still pretty good. They play defense from the first second of the game to the last second of the game, so they're not going to let up on you. They're not going to let you back in games. They're not going to make things easy on you. Milwaukee against Detroit here. Congratulations, Detroit. You guys worked your butts off to get that 8th seed. But I think they already kind of blew their load, especially with Blake Griffin not playing. That's an interesting.
Blake Griffin is going to be out for the series. I saw that this morning.
Did you see the quote by him, though? He said, I don't know. I feel like I'm fine and I should be playing. So there's a little rift between him and the management. I don't know all the details of it, but I saw his quote the other day where he was like, yeah, I mean, I think I'm fine to play. So they say he's out for the series. He says he's fine to play. That doesn't sound like a happy marriage right there.
I want to read. They did a story. I saw some quotes that he was talking about Chris Paul, and he was like, everybody's like, oh, Chris Paul, the insurance salesman and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, Chris Paul is not that guy. Like, trust me, Chris Paul is not the Hollywood family man you think he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the first person I've heard say that either. Apparently, Chris Paul is kind of an a-hole off the court. And you know what? I mean, it is what it is.
He's one of those old school YMCA style players. That's what it is. He pulled the back of your shorts, talk a little bit too much trash. You know what I'm saying? He got a real nasty disposition about himself off the court. But we don't, Benny, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody. Thanks for rocking with us. Don't forget to subscribe at Guru Elite on Guru Elite, our YouTube channel. Elite Fantasy for your DFS purposes. Guru Elite for your betting. And your DFS is fantasyguru.com. Be talking a little bit later on this week with Russell Clay as we get ready for the NFL draft. That's all I got, Benny. You got anything before we get out of here?
Nah, good luck tonight, everybody. Go get that bag, baby.
All right, let's go. The opening line, Elite Fantasy Sports Network. We out.